Hey, we're back. Welcome back to Blair and Barker.
Jeez, I'm shocked.
No.
Your keyword?
I came in here. There's nobody in here today.
No.
You almost think it was a long weekend.
Yeah. Punted.
Tell you what.
Good thing they got us.
Us and the hockey guys. The hockey guys Monday. They got like
7 hours or something.
7 hours.
What's wrong with that?
Free agent signings.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it never ends, does it?
It just doesn't.
It's year round.
No.
You could literally turn it on Sportsnet and there's hockey. Yeah. 24 hours,
hockey,
7 days a week.
Hockey and soccer never stops. Soccer guys get like a week off, and then they're playing in the World Cup, and then they're going on a tour of their team takes them on a tour someplace. The same thing with hockey. Guys will go up to the cottage for a week, and then they'll be back doing their off-ice training. It's crazy.
They earn their money. Good for them.
It's crazy. Sort of like
they
us.
Need to get them, they need to get them a better union is what they need. That's what they need.
Hey, my Blue Jays, 9-2 winners over the Yankees last night.
George Springer.
That?
How about that?
Well, as the one guy in this city who has stood up for George Springer all along, I am, other than the manager of the Blue Jays, who joins us, by the way, later on in the show. I
think he took offense to you, too, by asking the question or stating that he was the only individual.
That the interview's being
you're going to tell him anyway, so what difference it make?
Way to go.
They're not going to know?
No, they don't need to know what goes on behind the curtain here.
Oh.
Dumbass.
I don't think you can say that to me.
Anyhow.
I don't think you can.
George Springer had himself a month last night.
Wow, that's facts.
2 home runs, 6 RBIs. Before the end of the second inning, the Jays scored 5 runs before they recorded an out against Carlos Rodon. The Yankees, they'll send Marcus Stroman to the night against Yusei Kikuchi. The Yankees, they look
awful.
That lineup was woof, woof.
Yeah, like it's other than the 2 behemoths.
There's a lot of 126 and 163 batting averages.
You don't really notice it, I think, when those 2 dudes are hitting, but when they're not like all the time hitting every at bat, and then there's somebody else has to step up, like on a travel day where you have a rain delay and you play late at night and you get in at 6:30, like other people are having to play. Brian Cashman might have a little bit more to do than what people thought.
Well, I listen, Sunday's Gerrit Cole's scheduled start against Kevin Gossman, I think will be watched keenly in New York. I see the Yankees lineup isn't out yet. They'll be watched keenly in New York. It's. I don't think anybody's going to panic, but he is coming back from an injury.
Well, I read that he was saying that he's throwing every pitch max effort, which he's not used to doing, right? Normally it's free and easy, 98, 99. Now he's trying to
max effort in 91, 92.
There it is, right?
That's what he was the last.
Well, you know as well as anybody, most of the time when you try and do things a little harder, you don't happen the way you want it to happen. So, yeah, it's a big deal. Like, I'm not saying the Yankees are in trouble, but man, it'd make it easier to say that the Orioles are the best team in the American League or the Guardians.
The back leg line, by the way, is open 416-413-3959. It is a Friday. We will be going to the back leg line. We mentioned John Schneider joins us at 4:30. Bryan Hoch, who covers the Yankees for MLB.com, will be along. We'll talk to Bryan about the state of the Yankees. So George Springer, we already talked about George Springer.
No, we didn't really.
No, but we mentioned what he did. I wanted to ask you, and I know that you've already given away. I know the general manager or the manager gets asked this as well. I'm going to ask you as a guy who played. All of a sudden, he can handle velo.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, the obvious thing is he's looking for it. I mean, how many 165 against the breaking ball, 150 against the off speed do you have to be before you go, maybe I don't like the off speed pitch or the breaking ball right now. Maybe I simplify this thing. Always look fastball. I mean, he hit a 1-2 fastball for a homer. I mean, he's obviously looking for it. And for me anyway, Do you think George is capable of looking breaking ball, adjusting to 96 or 97? Not a chance.
I don't
is
think
the answer.
Yeah, no.
It's got to be the other way around. So I just think how easy it looks, how he's got a little bit of lean back, right? He's going back Lake City on them things. Like, right? And that means the barrel's got to be out in front of your body to be able to do that, to get to that little uppercut finish that everybody wants to get the ball in the air. And to do it on 96 means you got to be looking for it. And the only question I got to ask is what's taking you so long? Like, it's obviously not that you can't. Obviously, it was with the way we've seen him look the last whatever many days would almost tell you that the approaches of whoever he's trying to talk to and himself before he actually gets to the plate is awful. Like, let's just not lie about it. Like, you see the slider that he took in Boston, and now he's hitting these fastballs in the air to the pull side, like – man, like it just seems to me like in this approach thing and whatever.
Second home run was 434 feet.
Well, we know he's an educated guesser. We know that for a fact. Like he goes up, he tries to guess on a lot of things. That's why you see him chasing breaking balls that are not even close. A lot of guys who guess breaking ball would going to swing at it no matter where it's at. And I think sometimes in those at bats that look awful and look like me and you at the plate, that's sort of the approach. And I just get back to that. Somebody walk up to him and go, "You're hitting 165 and 150." Like right now you're having trouble with something that spins or a changeup or any other thing that's not a fastball. How about we just simplify it, be on time for velocity, and then maybe you can adjust and hit a hanging slider to right field backspin for a homer. It's those kind of things. So that's the only question I have is why is it taking 2.5 months?
Do you think that George is in the process of understanding what he has to do at this point in his career? Look, this is a guy who's had a lot of success. This is a guy who got the big contract. This is a guy who had a lot of expectations on him. And I'm just wondering if maybe, and I think, quite frankly, I think he's a prideful guy, as I think most of these guys are. I'm just wondering if maybe at some point it's almost as if, and this is a small sample size, I get this. Let's let this run for a bit.
Sure.
But I'm just wondering if a guy kind of realizes, I'm not what I was. I don't care what with the paychecks. I'm not what I was. This is what I have to do to contribute to a team on a day-to-day basis. I got the defensive aspect handled. Like I've got that handled.
Yeah.
So what can I do to make myself some sort of offensive factor? Is that possible?
Yeah, well, let's be honest. I think there's some unknowns for people that when you see the guys leave from Houston that went away from the banging, are they any good or not? Like that's the thing, right? I mean, if I know it's coming, I can cheat a little bit and get the head out and use the Crawford box, right? I can do things that if I didn't and have to be more mechanically perfect and the eyes directing the barrel to different quadrants, I'd have to earn those things. I think sometimes it's sort of, is he as good as everybody says he is? And I just think seeing this pull 96 and 97 in the air the way he has, as you mentioned, at the distance that he pulled them to, why would you overthink it, Jeff? Like, everybody in baseball throws hard. Damn near everybody. Like, Bassett might be the least hardest thrower in baseball, and then there's everybody else. Everybody else throws 96, 97. Why do I think I'm the only guy who can go up and consistently educate guests on breaking balls or off-speed pitches that are away? And I think sometimes you just get to a certain age and you get to a certain batting average that tells you maybe we've been overthinking this thing. And again, I know it's rocket science, and every time we ask somebody that matters with the Blue Jays, they won't let the cat out of the bag about, we are seeing something that everybody else ain't seeing. Okay. And I even asked John that. I mean, just come down to being as simple as he throws hard, I'm going to look for something hard, and I'm going to get it ready to hit, and it gives me a better chance to be successful. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you don't need 5 hitting coaches or 9, whatever, how many hitting coaches they got.
So, Vladdy's on a heater.
Yeah.
11 RBI in his last 4 games.
Ooh.
That's the most since, guess who had 11 RBI
Springer.
in 6 games. Nope.
Teoscar.
Drove an RBI, 11 RBI. Nope. Raimel Tapia.
Yeah. I never guessed that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. That's the beauty of reading the game notes.
You took
Justin
a shot at
Turner.
me right there?
What?
You took a shot at me right there?
No, I'm
You
saying I
did a
wouldn't.
little.
No, I wouldn't either. I read.
don't read
I
the game.
literally was reading the game notes. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
No.
I think you did a little.
No, that was not a
It
shot.
sounded
I
just
thought
like you threw a grenade my way.
You know me. I like Raimel
Well, if you'd
Tapia.
have read the game notes.
No. I said no. Not
It's
at all.
Friday.
No.
I'm frisky today. Just telling you. I got a little bit of a cold, too, I think.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Well, I'm far away from you, so you're okay drinking tea.
What'd you get? Did you get Joe Biden's cold?
Man, did you see that last
I
night?
did.
Holy,
I actually listened
the
to it,
world,
the train
the world is in a good spot. Let me tell you.
I'll tell you what.
I
You know what?
mean,
If I was
just-
running a sports franchise right now, I might go all in and winning my title this year because there may not be a 2025 regular season.
That's like things you think it's a joke. Like somebody's going to jump out and go, April Fools.
I thought it was a Saturday Night Live skit.
What is
And a
happening?
bad one. Anyhow.
What is?
And you thought I was the dimmest old man in the world. Tell you.
So I got through about 7 minutes of that. I got through about I'm a what they were talking about their golf game.
Yeah,
It's like
someone had a great idea. I know this is a tangent, but what the hell? It's Friday.
It's not a tangent.
I think instead of having
the world's screwed.
I think instead of having an election, you should just let them play 18 holes. Maybe they'll both get hit by lightning or something. And
if you got through all 2 hours of that, you should be paid. Watching that thing. 7 minutes I got through that.
Jon Stewart came on. Jon Stewart's show. I was watching it last night, and he said, "For God's sake, someone give both of these guys PEDs." Anyhow, enough about politics. Justin Turner, 353.
Oh.
He's not, a bit of a heater. He's 18 for 51. What I'm saying is Vlad, Turner, Springer. Like the guy right now that really, really needs to get up and get it going is the leadoff hitter, Bo Bichette.
It's just funny. Every name that you mentioned there is hitting the fastball. I mean, it is really that you can sit around in a room full of khakis and everybody trying to spew 75 different answers on how to hit a baseball when it's real simple. I got a bunch of guys throwing a bazillion.
Don't try to turn this into a negative.
It's not a negative.
Well,
I'm just saying.
took a shot at the khakis.
I'm saying you just mentioned 3 names that everybody's been begging for to be hot all at the same time, and they're all doing the same thing, Jeff. At the same time, that's all.
It was an unnecessary shot at the khakis.
I'm with you. The Bo is very interesting because, again, it seems to me like now I can't speak to where he's at mentally. I have no idea.
Are you surprised that he was that open when Hazel asked him about?
No, I think Bo is what Bo is.
Yeah,
it just doesn't seem like Bo's happy to me. I'm not going to speak for Bo because I have no idea. I know by a swing that something's up mechanically. He's not buying into some kind of approach. We all know he's very aggressive, but it's very rare that we see Bo miss as many good pitches as we've seen him miss.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? It's so something's up there. Whether it's, again, now we all know he kicks it to his ear and he wraps it, and like there's a lot has to happen for him to find the barrel to the baseball. Like a lot has to go on there. We have no idea why it's not going on the way it's supposed to be going on. We just know it ain't. How do you fix it? I don't think you can move him around the order anymore. Like sooner or later, it's got to have to be one of those moments where he's one of our guys. We're going to leave him here.
This is the Yankees lineup, by the way. Volpe, Soto, Judge, Davis at first base, Torres, Verdugo, LeMahieu, Trevino, and Jones.
Yeah. You say he's going to have to make some good pitches. Command's going to have to be good, and the spin on that secondary stuff's going to have to be better. Don't throw down the middle. Look, I think Bo can only figure out what's going on with Bo. But Bo's very hard to talk about because all the mechanical things that are happening for him to be successful, right? I mean, he's a free swinger. Most people can't swing at what he does and be successful. He has been. But can he be when he's going like this? That's the question. Like, normally when you're going bad mechanically and mentally, you got 1A swing. You ain't got 5 or 6 in one at bat. You got 1. Most people, that's why everybody says when you're struggling, hone in, make that little tiny box that you want to swing at really super small. That forces you to be on time with everything, right? Mm-hmm. To allow you to hit the baseball hard and have it go where you ultimately want it to go or end up. I just don't know if he's that kind of guy. So I think only time will tell with him, right? And there might be something, too, that change the scenery thing. I have no idea. Again, I'm not going to speak to that because I don't talk to Bo enough to know where he's at mentally, and I don't even know if I care. But the swing is something that is – I don't know if a lot of hitting coaches could even teach or talk or – like what's the plan with him going in? Does the plan ever look like it changes? That's the thing you got to ask yourself, right?
I would like to
try
know.
Something different. Try not swinging at everything.
I'd like to know who, and I mean this with all due respect to Bo, but I'd like to know who he talks to on that staff. Like I
got a pretty good idea, but I think it's more than one person.
It's like they get passed around.
I think when it's not working, you go to another one. I think when that ain't working, you go to another one.
What if it doesn't work with any of them?
It looks like Bo looks now. Bo's led the American League in hits, Jeff, 2 years.
Yeah,
he knows what he's doing.
Believe me, I know.
He's a very aggressive hitter. It seems like he's not willing to go away from that. So if that's the case, it's those ones that you get down the middle. He has been getting those. He's either late or he's out in front of him.
Yeah, that's probably the scariest thing is he's been getting his pitch.
Absolutely, he'll get him. He'll get him.
And but he'll get it tonight too.
All those pitchers, it's sort of combating itself by leading him off. Right, because the pitcher now knows, I understand what John's trying to do is forcing a good pitcher to have to make a better pitch early or you will get bridged by a good hitter. Well, they know exactly what we know. We don't have to throw him a strike. Just don't throw him one. Make it look like a strike. So it's going to be interesting to see how he handles this. And, sooner than later, something's got to give with that. It's a pretty big sample of missing stuff and chasing stuff.
Let me give you some numbers on tonight's starter for the Yankees, Marcus Stroman. He's 7.3. He's got a 3.15 ERA, 16 starts. He's allowed 3 earned runs or fewer in 11 of his 16 starts, 2 or fewer in 9 of those starts, 1 or fewer in 8 of those starts. These are earned runs. On the road this year, he's 5-1 with a 2.18 ERA. That's the 4th lowest in the majors. The Yankees are 7-1 in his road starts. And he started twice against the Blue Jays this year with a 1.59 ERA. Now, I talked about this a little bit yesterday with Stroman. And I've said that I think this was low-key one of the best offseason moves any team in baseball made.
Yeah.
Why? What is it about Marcus Stroman? Like that road record, I understand it depends on your opponents, but what do you think it is about Marcus Stroman that allows him to have that type of a road record? Because those are in different parks, right? Yeah, when a guy has a great home record, sometimes I go, well, 1, he's probably playing in a good team that gets a last at bat.
I'm sure.
Or 2, he's very comfortable in the mound.
Now you got to remember, too, that little short porch in right field in Yankee Stadium, you would think because he wants to go away to righties, that might not be the easiest thing mentally to buy into. You turn around and you look at it, right? It's you make a decent pitch. A guy don't have to have a quality, mechanically sound swing to be rewarded for it because of that. And you may change things up. And then you go on the road and you're like, boy, it just opened up a plethora of, quadrants that now I can throw to, because if I give up hard contact in the air to line at this field, it's not going to hurt me as much. So I think that, and, again, Marcus is a good pitcher. I think that, too, is a big deal, right? He's a pitch down guy, right? The sinker, the cutter. He's got a little something for both sides.
Second in the majors in ground ball percentage since he's come into the game.
Not afraid to pitch the contact, which is a big deal, right? His secondary stuff, his misses are really good. I think the catcher is really good about setting up, making sure that he misses where he needs to miss. He ain't a hard thrower. Hard throwers can't miss middle of the plate, right? They can't get away with that at the big league level consistently. So you have to be almost perfect with the misses. I think that's it. So, I think that probably road record's a little bit of luck. But I do think that short porch ride has something to do with it. Tonight he's going to feed him righties a bunch of stuff away, and it's going to be down. He'll show it to him in occasionally, standing him up because he's a pitcher. but he's going to try and get you out of way or let you get yourself out away. What are the Blue Jays going to do? I mean, the Blue Jays are coming in here. The main guys that matter are hot for the most part. Do you think they can continue to look fastball? I mean, throws 3 different ones. Why would I, why would I look for the split finger? Why would I look for the slide? Like, everybody else has trouble hitting those. Mm-hmm. So going in until I get to 2 strikes, I'm buying into something straight. And I'm going to try and stay in the big part of the field. And I'm going to try and catch it out front. You can't see most of these. A veteran guy like this who is a ground ball, sinker ball pitcher, seeing it up most of the time is not an option. Because of the stats. As long as he's been around, it's rare that he will miss up. So I have to beat that pitch to the spot, and I got to get length and to my uppercut finish. Mm-hmm. If I can do that, that's why they say against sinker ball guys, stay in the big part of the field. It keeps you square. It adds length to your barrel. It keeps the barrel in the hitting zone a long time, and then you could release to that uppercut finish. Will get the ball off the ground into the air, which will give you a better chance of having success. So I think it's basically the sort of the recipe that it's been, bloop and a bomb. Mm-hmm. I mean, they got lucky last night with the double that Vladdy hit down the right field line, that little swinging thing that Turner got.
The bouncer down.
Sometimes you'd
base.
rather be lucky and good, but you swing your way into luck sometimes. How hard is
that? Ben Rice was at first base last year. How hard a play is that for first base?
It's hard, but you got to come get it. You got to come and get it.
Let me ask you, I know we're up against the clock here. The play we're talking about was the bouncer. It literally just kind of rolled down the first baseline.
He let it go.
He let it go. Yeah. Is there a point where you've got to decide to come in and get it?
The runner, the speed of the runner will tell you what you do with this.
Okay, explain that.
Well, Turner's, you're slow.
Yeah.
He ain't fast. Yeah. So you can almost let it come to you.
Which he did.
But once you start seeing it not having the big hops, and know that it's going to hop over that bag, then you got to be aggressive and come and get it. So it's all about, like, you got to have one eye on the runner and one eye on the ball, watching the ball bounce, seeing where the runner's at will tell you what you need to do. That, again, it's just
when it's rolling,
bigger the hop, how fast the runner is.
Yeah.
That will tell you whether I'm waiting on it or I'm coming to get it. Most good first basemen will go stand on the bag and just sort of scoop it in front of the bag. They won't let it get to the bag. Mm-hmm. But when you haven't played there a lot at the big league level.
No, it's good. That's good stuff, because I actually wanted to talk about that on Blue Jays Talk last night, but we had a lot of other stuff to talk about. And I was thinking, okay, when I saw that play, Barker's a perfect guy to talk about, because you could tell when the play was over that it wasn't one of those throwing my hands up in the air or anything like that. It was almost like a learning experience. And you could see even his teammates, nobody was like.
See, I always like putting my left foot on the bag and sort of scooping it like I would scoop it from a throw from an infielder, because I wore my glove on my right hand. If I tried to get around that ball, that ball would play me and have a tendency to sort of roll around my glove, roll up my arm, and I'd look silly, look like I'd never fielded a ground ball before. So I always like to go over, and actually made me think that I was foot on bag, stretching to scoop a throw from an infielder, just because I wanted to be aggressive with it. I wanted to get after that thing from the ground up, play the ball, be very, very aggressive. Cecil Cooper used to always tell me, the slower it is, the more aggressive you want to be towards the baseball. You can never go wrong being aggressive.
It's good stuff. John Schneider is manager of the Blue Jays. He'll join us next. Again, the back leg line is open, 416-413-3959. It's Blair and Barker on Sportsnet 590, The Fan and Sportsnet. All right, 7:07 will be the first pitch tonight as the Jays and Yankees resume this 4-game series with our dear friend Marcus Stroman on the mound for the Yankees. And what?
Yeah.
And Yusei Kikuchi on the mound.
See how much happier you are when the Jays are hitting homers?
Well, yeah, I mean, 9-2 win over the Yankees last night. Make me happy.
It's the homers. Even if they were losing, still, if you're hitting homers, at least you want to tune in and watch your favorite player because he's hitting bombs.
Yeah, it was
way more fun.
It was a good game last night.
Butt him over.
Yeah, I also
get it. Somebody wants that. No. I want a back leg city. Some back leg cities. Yeah, there you go. Lots of them.
There you go.
A whole team full of them.
Always take a trip to back legs.
Yeah.
John Schneider is manager of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Is he really? Thanks. Since when did that happen?
I was going to come on and say still manager of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Well,
But
we've already cleared that up.
We did clear
asked
that
the
up.
boss.
We did clear that up. John Schneider's manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, and he graciously gave us time today and reveled in the fact that he told us a long time ago, 4 days ago, that George Springer was back. Very pleased to be joined, as always, on a Friday by John Schneider, the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. John, congratulations on being the only person in the city who had faith in George Springer. Now, you got to tell me what you were seeing that we weren't seeing.
Man, you guys. Oh, man. Well, thank you, for one, and I'm going to continue to support him. I've said it the last couple of days, even the last week or so. It's just, numbers are what they are, and George understands how his season has gone so far. I think, not everyone that's not in the building every day gets to see what he's doing, what he's working on with the hitting group, and the conversations that are had with myself and the rest of the staff. So, again, I'm going to continue to have faith in him and every single guy on the roster, and last night was a great night for him.
John, it looks to me like it's very simple. He's looking fastball. I mean, I know you're not going to tell us, and you shouldn't, but it looks to me like it's real simple. He's not overthinking this. If you're going to hit 96 and 97, in my mind, you got to look for it. I think at least the last week or so, 1 through 9, looks to me like they've made an adjustment. They're looking fastball. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, it's pretty – yesterday, obviously, very, very apparent that was our approach against Rout, and that's been similar to other teams around the league, really. And I thought we did a great job of kind of taking – being ready for that pitch and kind of taking it away from him, and you could see him kind of, navigate to some cutters, slider, changeups as the game went on. But yeah, I think George and everyone, that's been an area of focus for us, for a while. Just, everyone can sit and look at the numbers of what we were doing against fastballs too. And I think yesterday was a really good example of not only him, but a lot of other guys being on time for the fastball and making some adjustments if you need to.
Both missing the good one, swinging at the bad one. What are you seeing from him, and why do you like him in the leadoff spot?
I think from him, layoff is not ideal. I think it's tough to get thrown right back into big league action without seeing some live pitching for about a week. And I think in terms of the leadoff spot, obviously it's been a spot that's kind of been in flux throughout the year. And, again, banking on Bo being, the normal version of himself. And I think he is a pretty unique example of a guy that can do that without a whole lot of reps. So a spot that he's been in before and comfortable in. And I think as he continues to see more pitches and get more ABs under his belt coming off the IL, he's a guy you want up, as many times as you can. And he's definitely a guy you want up against, back-end pitching. He's had the ability and obviously still has the ability to hit really good pitching. So that's kind of the thinking behind him in the one hole.
John, in addition to the 9 runs you scored against the Yankees last night, you've now scored 5 or more runs, in 4 consecutive games for the first time since September, when you had 5. Is it safe to say that you think this lineup is a little more balanced, as well as what you talked about when, you talked about the approach against Rodon? Do you just see this lineup as it's constructed as being a little more balanced?
I think so. I think that, guys like Spence and Barge have come up and done a nice job of just having pretty consistent at-bats. I think Spence is doing a really good job of getting on base, hitting the ball where it's pitched and adjusting to where he's being pitched. And, it's no secret. I think over the last handful of days, you see what George has done, you see what Vladdy's done. And you kind of see JT back to his normal self for the most part, too. So that kind of allows everyone to do their thing. So I think the balance is good, and I think guys are getting a little, whether it's young guys getting more comfortable or guys that have been here and that have been established kind of turning the corner a little bit. I think that's kind of the combination of it. And I said, 3 weeks ago when these guys came up, we're not asking them to carry us. We're not asking them to do anything, superhuman to turn our season around. We're asking those guys to have productive at-bats, and for the guys that we have faith in and that have been really good in this league for a long time to kind of get back to norm.
John, how do you get Danny back on track?
I think with him, I mean, he's such a good fastball hitter, and I think that, you know, over the past week and a half, facing the same teams in Cleveland and Boston, two teams that don't throw a lot of fastballs as an organization, kind of philosophy-wise, being pitched tough and, you know, not really clicking on the pitches that he should hit, whether it's a fastball or a breaking ball in the zone. So with Jano, he knows this, and he has to just stick to his strengths. He needs to get the ball in the right area. He's going to try to pull it. He's going to try to get it in the air. And I think just the last 10 days or so he hasn't really, A, gotten many pitches to do that with, and B, if he has, not quite clicking on them. So just want him to be real stubborn with his approach that he's had the last 2.5 years or so.
You say he's coming off of a couple of tough starts. How do you get him back with the good fastball command and the good consistent spin?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's got to be consistent spin. You know, when I think of Cooch, you know, it's not. I mean, his fastball has been so much better. I don't think he's going to be a Greg Maddux type with his fastball command. So I think it's landing the other ones in the right spot. You know, when he runs into trouble, it's usually breaking balls that are kind of strike to strike as opposed to strike to ball, and it's fastballs that are just middle. You know, so the fastball command does need to get tightened up a bit, but I think more importantly, the slider and the curveball need to be located, especially against this top of the order. They need to be located properly.
John, where are we right now in terms of the rehab or the recovery for Jimmy Garcia and Jordan Romano? I know they were playing catch today. They seemed to be throwing fairly hard. Where are we in that? In the path to their recovery?
Yeah, they're both. It was kind of a lighter day for them yesterday, built into their program today. They're kind of getting back after it. They're throwing with good intensity out to about 120 feet. They're both throwing flat grounds after that. And, you know, there's no timetable on them getting off the mound. Hopefully it's within the next day or so, the next couple days. And then from that, as long as they feel good, keep progressing off the mound and start getting into some games after that. But I think that they're definitely trending in the right direction, and we'll know more when they do get off the mound. Like I said, hopefully here in a couple days.
John, the second time through with Yariel Rodriguez, what are you seeing that you like? What are you seeing that you think maybe if he made this change would make him a little bit more competitive? That's the thing, right? It's the non-competitive pitches, and the pitch count goes up, and you know that's when you have to make some changes. Is there anything you like, and what's something you think you could change to make him a little better?
Yeah, I mean, kind of hit the nail on the head, I think. You know, command he lost his command in Cleveland in the second inning there and led to high pitch count and drove him out of the game. And that was a big area of focus before the rain hit in Boston was, you know, he's such a savvy pitcher. You know, he knows how to pitch and he knows how to mix his pitches. I think his split is really come along well and it's turned into a really good pitch for him versus lefties and righties, both of them. And, you know, when you think of him, you think heater slider. But I think when he's good, he has the ability to kind of manipulate both of those pitches, whether it's delivery, arm angle, and a little bit of deception. And he's learning on the fly and pretty quickly here that big league hitters they're pretty disciplined, you know, and they're not gonna budge on non-competitive pitches for sure. And then on the ones that are kind of closer to the zone, you know, it's a little bit tougher to get some chase when you're behind in the count. So I think getting ahead for one is something we talk about with him, and then just filling up the zone a little bit more because we trust his stuff. His stuff is good, and he knows how to pitch, and he's not afraid of any situation. So getting ahead is the biggest thing for him, and then allowing him to kind of use his mix and his savvy to get guys out.
Because Bowden's lanes with the fastball are much better the last couple of outings that we've seen him. Is it getting to be a tougher call on who starts those games between him and Yariel?
Not at this point. You know, I think that the way we view Yariel is as a starter, you know, and I think that with where the time he missed and still trying to build out his innings and not trying to control him a little bit. You know, I think now he's going to end up kind of where we had hoped anyway, as long as he stays healthy. But having a guy like Bowden who's able to, throw an inning last night, he's available for multiple innings today. he's available to come in, the game in Cleveland and throw 73 pitches out of the pen, that's really, really valuable. And the fact that he is locating his pitches better, mixing the split in a lot more as opposed to just fastball, curveball, I think has allowed him to kind of navigate a little bit deeper than he needs to with his pitch count. But we like keeping Yariel kind of on a regular turn and don't think that it's beneficial for him to kind of go back and forth. And, Bowden, again, he's kind of like Trevor where he has the ability to do a variety of things, and that's just really, really valuable for us.
John, why does Yusei have so much success against the Yankees? And having said that, I hope I just didn't jinx him.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think certain pitchers, match up well against certain lineups for reasons that are sometimes by design and sometimes by luck. And when you look at his stuff and kind of how these guys handle certain pitches, I think he matches up fairly well when he's on his game against them. And it's just a veteran pitcher going against a veteran lineup, really, and how you make adjustments. I do think that he likes these challenges when you're facing a team like this in the division who's pretty damn good, and they have arguably two of the best hitters in the game sitting there at the top. So he likes that, and he doesn't back down, So I think he's done a really good job of limiting the stakes against this team, and hopefully he can continue to do that tonight.
John, it's rare that we talk about Trevor Richards. You mentioned his name, and for whatever reason, every time I talk to you, I never write his name down to mention him. I think it's because every time that we see him pitch, he's really, really, really good. Why is he so good, John? And tell us how hard that hybrid thing is. We've seen it's every inning for him. That can't be the easiest routine thing and then come out the way he does and do it with two different pitches.
Yeah, it's pretty unique to have a guy like that who can throw 3 innings, who can open a game, who can come in and pitch an 8th inning. He's kind of just, bullpen guys that aren't closers oftentimes get kind of, lost in the shuffle a little bit just around the game. And I think having a guy that can do a variety of things is so underrated. So you kind of couple him and Bowden into that same bucket. But with Trev, he's gotten to the point to where he understands how each one of those pitches plays. And, it's not easy to sit on that changeup because it is so unique and, the way that it dives. I think what's really been the improvement with Trev is he's able to locate it. He's throwing it for strikes when he needs to. He's throwing it for chase when he needs to, and then is able to read hitters' swings and use his fastball effectively, whether it's up in the zone or down in the zone. So kind of the evolution of a pitcher a little bit and understanding his stuff, but the action on the changeup is really, really unique, and it's a tough look for hitters.
John, of course, yesterday Ross Atkins came out and spoke, did a media availability. I know you were asked after the game about Bo's comments to Hazel May about, would it surprise you if you were traded at the trade deadline? One of the things Ross said that I found interesting yesterday was he was talking about you, and he said, you've done a good job. You have the clubhouse, he said. How hard is it for a manager to maintain that sense of discipline, but also be positive at the same time and not pile on?
Yeah, it's I appreciated those comments, and it's something that you have to be very aware of. For one, I think that over the course of my time in this spot, you learn from past experiences and you try to make the proper adjustments. Positivity is something that I'm never going to lose, as long as I'm in this game. And I make it known to the staff every single day that I will not tolerate anything but that. And the staff has done a great job of following suit. And then you got to have conversations with guys. I think that when you're in a situation like we're in right now, we've obviously put ourselves here through our performance and through our play. I think the more guys realize that and are accountable to that, the easier it is to, A, have faith in them, and B, have conversations that may be a little bit uncomfortable with them, So we get where we're at from top to bottom, whether it's myself, Ross, players and staff. We get that. And I think, the focus every day is just today right now. We've definitely made the window a lot smaller than what we had hoped it to be at this point in the year. And every guy in the room is trying to figure out a way to win tonight and trying to get better before the game, whether it's their work or their prep, And once the game starts, you got to try to figure out a way to win. And I think just staying positive and staying strong, that's something I'm always going to do, having relationships with the guys and knowing these guys for a long time, being through good times and bad. And it just allows me and the staff to have those conversations, understand the reality of the business that we are in, and worry about today. And, today is the most important day of the season. And when today's done, so will tomorrow. And that's the only way we can go about it.
John, we appreciate your time as always. Go get him tonight. Thanks for this.
Yeah, kick butt, buddy.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Talk soon.
John Schneider, manager of the Blue Jays. Barker told me I didn't read out the Blue Jays lineup.
He did not.
I read the Yankees lineup. The Blue Jays lineup is as follows: Bichette, Horwitz, Guerrero, Turner, Springer, Varsho, Jansen, Barger, and IKF. Kevin Kiermaier is not in the lineup, despite the fact that he hits a bazillion against Marcus Stroman. Anyhow, I'm not complaining about it. Just pointing it out. Of course, you say Kikuchi on the mound for the Blue Jays against Marcus Stroman. 7:07 first pitch right here on Sportsnet 590, The Fan and Sportsnet. The back leg line, she is open.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear it. 416-413-3959. Your chance to leave questions, comments, directions, recipes.
I don't need directions.
For Kevin Barker.
I'll take the train.
Or myself. Or me. I guess it's me, not myself. Or me. Barker or me. Anyhow. 416-413-3959. We're going to dip into the back leg line in a few minutes. All right, we are at that point of the season, Kevin Barker, where we're roughly about halfway through, I guess, right? Pretty much halfway through?
Yeah.
Roughly halfway through the season. And I got to find this thing. They had the playoff bracket set up if the playoffs started today. And, of course, I can't find it. So much for that idea. As you look at the standings, though, as you look at the standings right now, I don't know, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but as you look at the standings right now, and I'll just kind of run through the divisions for everybody because we are at that point. Of course, the American League East, the Orioles, Yankees, Red Sox, Rays, and Jays in that order. The Jays are 13.5 back. 6.5 out of the wild card. Central is the Guardians, Twins, Royals, Tigers, White Sox, and the Guardians have a 7-game lead in the Twins. The West is the Mariners, Houston, Texas, L.A., Oakland. The NL East, the Phillies. Boy, did they have a tough game last night, losing Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper.
Only 10 days, though. Precautionary, I think, more than anything. Yeah.
Hammy looked like for... Phillies, they've got an 8-game bulge on the Braves. Mets, Nationals, Marlins. The Central, Brewers, Cardinals, Pirates, Reds. I keep thinking the Reds are going to be better than they are at Cubs. And then the NL West, Dodgers, San Diego, Arizona. So the division leaders right now, Dodgers, Brewers, Phillies, Mariners, Guardians, and the Orioles. The Orioles are just percentage points ahead with the ahead of the Yankees right now.
Mm-hmm.
Which of those division leaders are you most confident in retaining their division lead, Kevin? And which are you least confident in? Is it obvious to say, from your point of view, the Dodgers, 8.5 up in the Padres?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think the Dodgers
Even
have enough
more
of
than
everything.
Phils?
Yeah, I think the Phillies, with what the Braves are not doing offensively, some of the injuries that they've had with some key rotational pieces, I think it's going to be very hard to catch the Phillies. I think the American League West is the one, the Mariners and the Astros.
Yep.
It's just like I think everybody with the Astros organization is pulling all on the same rope, the same direction. And that's never a good thing, I think, when you got an owner balled in and you got a a GM, a president, like everybody is saying, no, we're all in this thing. It was a hiccup. Like now we figured out who we do have here to make a few adjustments of what they're trying to throw, get them deeper in games because we got the lineup we're getting back and we're getting Tucker back soon. And they'll go out and add some pieces that they need to add. That I think that's that for me anyway in the American League is the one. The American League East, the Yankees or the Orioles. I mean, you could argue either one.
Mm-hmm.
The Brewers, I think the National League Central, I think the Brewers seem like the better team, just the all-around team when it comes to the offense, manufacturing runs with the speed, the back end of the bullpen that they will have when everybody's healthy. I do like the Brewers, so I think that National League Central. So, yeah, I think a lot of these teams are sort of cut and dry, right? Baseball now is top-heavy. It's top-heavy. You got, some behemoths, and then there's everybody else. And I think right now, if you could look at all these standings and who's in first place, other than that AL West,
yeah,
I think you could probably say it's lined the way it should be lined, I think.
Yeah, it's funny. One thing I do know, looking at the way the brackets would be set up right now, I think this is all kind of funny. It would be the Yankees and the Twins again in the first round, which is, it's always worked out that way. It seems it's always worked out that way. The team that I really have my eye on, and I don't know, what are they now? Wild card game out. Wow. There's 7 wild card. There's 7 games out on the wild card as the Texas Rangers, the defending World Series champions.
Yeah, that's why it's hard to repeat.
They're 8 back in the division race and 7 out in the wild card race.
Yeah, I think when you win a division the way they did last year, they went on their run to win the World Series. They got lucky playing who they played in the World Series. Let's be honest. I mean, if that was the Phillies, that might go a different way. It's very hard for everybody to live up to the back of their baseball card.
Kevin, they're farther out than the Blue Jays.
Yeah, it's just like maybe they thought last year they were a year ahead of time too, right? So
yeah.
So then you have the injuries and the rotation you had. You have the problems that the ownership is having in the offseason. Like, there's just some things going on with that organization now. So I think they're very fortunate, again, with the run they went on, with the manager that they have, with who they played in the World Series. Like, sometimes you got to be lucky and good, Jeff.
Well,
there you go.
I'll tell you what, with the the regional TV situation, which was a real issue for them this offseason, they're damn lucky they got Corey Seager and Marcus Semien signed a couple of years ago.
Yeah, boy, how good would Semien look on this team?
I don't even. We talked about that with Shy, and to me, Shy was the first person to mention. I was kind of like, whatever, but he's talked about, and I think he's right. I think 2021 may have been the year for these guys. That's when Vladdy was good, and you had that whole team. That may have been the best it's going to get for this team was 2021. Of course, they missed it by what? Was it a game? That was when, Boston won the final day of the season. And you look back at that now and you go, man, if they could have just added another bullpen arm or earlier in the year to avoid, as Shai pointed out, that tire fire they had in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
that was the team. I think that was a miss.
Yeah, maybe. I think, again, you can walk away from those seasons, this season here, and know what the blueprint is to win in the American League and the American League East, right? You have to have both sides of the balls doing things, right? I mean, just the rotation and you catching the ball in the outfield, it's nice. But it ain't enough all the time. Every once in a while, you need those weeks at a time where you got to thump and carry a team. And I think they got a blueprint now, Jeff.
We've got Jays tickets to give away. Your chance to see the Jays take on the Houston Astros at Rogers Center. Bryan Hoch is a New York Yankees reporter with MLB.com. Always good to talk to Bryan. Always good to see him in town. He'll join us at 5:30. When we come back, we'll go to the back leg line, 416-413-3959. The over-under on Ross Atkins question. We shall find out. Blair and Barker on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and Sportsnet. Hey, welcome back to Blair and Barker on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. It is a Friday edition, day-long weekend. It's the NHL draft weekend,
Boy.
free agency, all sorts of good stuff. And we'll be on Monday following the Blue Jays game against the Houston Astros with Blue Jays Talk. And speaking of the Astros, we're going to give away tickets to see the Astros, in just a few moments. But for now, because it is Friday, we are going to go to the back leg line, 416-413-3959. If you call the back leg line, you'll hear Barker's voice. He'll make an insult, take a shot at me, and then after the beep, you can leave a message. That's what Rob in West Kelowna did, not East Kelowna. Oh, not Rob lives in West Kelowna, BC.
Kev, you do a great job putting up with Jeff, former Winnipegger here.
See what I mean? There
So kudos for that.
Yep.
Years ago, the Vancouver Canucks had the best scorer in the NHL, a guy named Pavel Bure. The fans pissed him off so badly that he finally just left. He got tired of it. He didn't need it. You're a baseball guy. What's the danger of Bo and Vladdy? These are still young guys of just saying, I'm tired of all the sniping from the fans and everything, and just walking. Love your show, boys. Doing great. Have a great summertime.
Robin West Kelowna. By the way, if you ever go to BC,
Yeah.
you know what you'll notice?
What's that?
95% of the population moved there from Manitoba.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Shut up, Jeff.
It's true. The hell do you know, Brandale?
Well, that's perfect.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like, there's,
anyhow.
Go
Okay,
ahead. So the chances that Bo and Vlad...
to Rob's question.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think neither one of those guys care what anybody says. That's really what I think. I think that fans would like to think that, they do listen to this show quite often. I do know that for a fact. But other than that, I don't think they're going on Twitter or whatever the heck it's called, or listening to wherever they need to listen to and throwing their hands in the air and going, how dare those fans say that I ain't doing. Yeah, I don't think either one of them guys care.
No, and I'm going to say this as well. Jays fans this year I think they've been booing the circumstance more than the player. And what I mean by that is bases loaded, ground out, or double play, George Springer, boo. George Springer comes up the next time, they're not booing him. I don't get the sense. I don't get the sense that it's personal, which to me is one of the real the things I like about this market when it comes to baseball fans. And hockey, it can get personal. Just ask Dion Phaneuf. But by and large in baseball, I think the fans in this city react to the moment. And look, I'm sure Vladdy and Bo hear it when they're booed after they
I would think
ground out or something like that.
Best I understand, it's more about family members, and we've had Josh Donaldson's family tune into our show, and JD's actually said, I heard you say that I was old, Kevin. Well, you are old. It's like I think it's more of that. It's not so much the players themselves that are actually tuning in and listening to every single thing that everybody's saying. It's more their families.
I think I'm with Kevin. I think I don't want to put words in Bo's mouth, but I've been around long enough to read the tea leaves. I think there's a greater chance of signing Vladdy to a long-term contract than Bo. I don't think it's going to get done in either case. But if you said to me right now, which guy do you think is here 3 years down the road? Frankly, I'd say Vladdy. And
if there's
I would have said that 4 years ago too, even though Bo signed this contract.
If there was ever going to be a time, it'd be now. If he was going to sign Vladdy, I don't think it's going to cost you $1 bazillion. I think he wants to be here. The best I understand.
I'll tell you what, though. I think
Bo may not be here, so you don't have to try and think about paying both of them. You're not going to tick off one of them if you pay this guy more.
Not now.
Like you don't have to worry about that competition back and forth. So I would think if any time, right now would be the time you'd have a chance to sign Vladdy. I would think.
You don't know how.
We don't.
We don't know how. we really don't know how Vladdy and his people read this situation right now. What was the case last year? And I think they were willing. We know they were willing to sign last year. I'm sure they'd still be willing to sign now. But you know what? You get a year closer to free agency.
Yeah, you hear some other teams too with some interest, right? Right.
And again,
the Padres
this idea,
are interested. The Astros.
Trust me. People have spoken to Vladdy's agents. This idea that no one says anything till you. That's as my friend David Sampson would say, horse hockey.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's horse hockey.
Yeah.
I would bet you right now, dollars to donuts, that Vladdy and his agent know who the top 3 teams are that will be interested in them when he's a free agent.
You ain't doing your job as an agent if you don't know, somewhat of what that could be.
Doug in Vancouver.
Vladdy, it looks like he's going to an all-star game. What are the chances of him being in the Derby again? And if that's the case, what would be the chances that Schneider would toss to him? Just a goofball question on a Friday. Have a good one, guys. Have a great long weekend.
I like that question, Doug. You know what? I hope he does go in the home run derby. I think he will be in the home run derby. He enjoys it. Anything that gets Vladdy to hit more home runs, I'm for. I don't have a problem with it. Would Schneider pitch to him?
I think if Vladdy paid him, he'd pitch to him. Yeah. I think that's a give and take, right? Yeah. You take me away from my family for however many hours you got to take me away. It's not the easiest thing mentally to do that. I mean, I've talked to John. Some pressure there, and I always throw the ball where Vladdy wants it. That's not the easiest thing. So I'm sure that you'd have to make it worth his while. I don't know how I feel about the Vladdy thing anymore, hitting in the home run derby. Does he have to? Does he need to? Who's it fun for?
I mean, it's fun for the players, obviously. They enjoy it.
I mean, it was. Well, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Vladdy doing that anymore.
I mean, my concern.
I mean, you're doing. Well, I mean, we talked about last year because he wasn't hitting any. Maybe goes and does it, and it gets him in the flow, gives him confidence. It worked, not a chance. So I don't know.
I mean, you always tell me don't overthink it. Don't overthink this. If he likes it and has fun doing it, go ahead. I have no problem with that. As long as you don't hurt yourself, and he's done it without hurting himself. And I know there's that thing, you go in the home run derby and you can put you in a slump and whatever. Just given the way this year has gone, let Vladdy go to the home run derby. It's a big deal for him. Players like it. Fans like it. Ratings are good. There's no downside to Vladdy going in the home run derby. Louise, but I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that'll be saying, well, does he deserve to be in it? You know what? If they ask him to be in it, he deserves to be in it. Louise and Moncton.
After hearing Ross Atkins talk yesterday in his press conference, I was wondering how you guys felt about how sincere he really was, because it seems like every question you guys asked, he avoided it.
I mean, he's the general manager. They're always going to avoid it. I always tell people, I know everybody in this city loves Alex Anthopoulos. I love Alex Anthopoulos. Go back and listen to some of Alex's interviews before 2015. Go back and listen to some of Alex's interviews during the trade deadline, the year they did nothing and Casey Janssen pitched a fit in the clubhouse, and Jose Bautista did too. All I ask, and I know the fans, I don't know what fans' expectations are when a general. He's not going to tell you who he's going to trade. He's not going to tell you who they're going to sign. But he's just not. All you can do is ask the questions. It's performative. You ask the questions. You wait for the answer. You like to hear a little bit of sincerity. The guy took responsibility for what happened. I haven't heard anybody else in this organization take responsibility for what John has.
He has.
But
every time he's been on our show,
Ross took responsibility for it.
Yeah.
I think fans need to hear from Mark Shapiro. That's just me. But, that's not necessarily my call. Just don't lie to me. You can BS me. You can toss word salad at me, which Ross can be good at. That's fine. Just don't lie to me. And I don't think, Ross gets wordy. Yeah. Listen, and I know about being wordy because believe me, it's something I struggle with unsuccessfully 24/7. But yeah, I thought he was as honest as he's always been. He was consistent as he's always been, and it's that consistency in that. It's his ability to say a lot and say nothing that drives people nuts.
Yeah.
And that's also the ability that's going to carry him farther in the industry.
It's
that's
a popularity contest. You know it well as anybody going into that thing. If you don't like him, he could tell you everything, every trade secret that Jay's got.
Okay, that's
and
a great point.
You still wouldn't like him.
That is
you
a
still
great
wouldn't like
point.
what he says. So it's very hard for him to ever, fulfilly live up to exactly what you want him to live up to and say what you want to hear him say.
There are people who can change your opinion of them by what they say. There are situations where a person can come on. Well, folks, do you remember how fast you wanted to run John Gibbons out of town the first time he was here?
Yeah.
Things change. It's amazing what success does. It's amazing how people will listen to someone when they are successful. But there are people who can change people's minds by how they talk. Ross isn't one of them. And Ross knows that, I think. Again, it's just me. Just don't lie to me. That's all I ask. Don't lie to me. It's the same thing. People, I wish everybody should be required to spend a day as a media member. Because you see the same thing. The prime minister does a news conference. And, he never answered anything.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
Exactly. They're not going to answer. Why would you? I mean, if I pulled you, dear listener, brought you in here right now and said, tell me your secrets. What's the worst thing you've done in your life? Well, what's the worst thing you're going to do tonight? Well, have you ever cheated on your wife? Blah, blah, blah. People need to understand that there is a give and take aspect to this, and all you ask for, it's not even a matter of being honest. Just don't lie.
You can understand, though, why people that are listening to Ross on occasion will listen to it and basically just see his lips moving because of what he said about the manager. And
you know what?
It's not all the time. It's not the best of conversations when he talks, right?
I guarantee you.
You can understand a little bit of that.
Yeah, but I guarantee you that when he did his job interview, the first thing he said is, let's get Ross in here, man, because he handles the media well. He's a great talker. And I'm going to throw this out there again. I love Alex Anthopoulos. And I know Alex going back, as I said, when he was running and stealing hot dogs in the press box at Olympic Stadium when he was working downstairs, for the Expos as an intern. Alex is a great communicator. Alex had to learn how to be a great communicator. Alex is really good at it. But when he started to get higher profile jobs, Alex was extremely honest one-on-one with you as a reporter. He was a little more guarded when you got into a public setting. And folks, they're just different. People are wired differently.
I think he's a little bit more available too. At some times, I think that's one of the things too. It's
okay.
Up until it's rare that you hear the front office for the Blue Jays now.
Okay, exactly.
Speak about what's going on with the baseball team.
Let me ask you this: you're hearing people. You're hearing people complain that Mark Shapiro hasn't been heard from. It's a common complaint.
Yeah,
it's a common complaint.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that Ross is doing what his boss is doing.
Yeah, that's fair.
You do what your mentor. Generally, you follow your mentor.
Yeah, when you don't, I think to the caller's point, when you don't talk a lot, when you do talk, you got to be saying something.
What?
That's the thing, right? At least a little. I thought Ross did a decent job. We threw a bunch of stuff at him yesterday.
But that's the thing. If that's not your personality, it doesn't matter.
I guess.
It doesn't matter.
But you still are the GM of a baseball team, so
that's not your.
I get
that, but that's not your personality.
I guess
it's. Anyhow. I think it's a little more complicated than people think it is. And I get back to politicians being asked questions in news conferences. That's why, when I was a reporter, you know what I never did? Never asked a question in a news conference most of the time. You know why? One, why the hell am I doing other people's work? Huh? Two, I'm never going to get the honest answer in a room full of 100 people. You know where I'm going to get the honest answer? When I go up to the person afterwards and say, okay, what was up with that? There are people in the media who love hearing their own voice in a news conference. I think the way you go about doing your job as a reporter, it's more important what you ask one-on-one than what you ask in a group setting. And there are people in TV and radio you've got to ask in a news conference setting because that's your only opportunity. The cameras are there.
Yeah.
That's your only opportunity.
Expectations are huge around the Blue Jays, Jeff. You got to remember that.
And the way baseball teams do business now, you don't have the opportunity to go up after a game for the most part, go one-on-one to the catcher and say, okay, Doc didn't have his stuff tonight. What did you see?
It's okay. It's okay for fans to want answers. There's nothing wrong with that. Expectations coming into the season were high. Prices around that stadium have went up.
Yeah, but that
is
true. They want answers.
There's nothing. It's their opinion. It's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that a GM's going to come on and tell about every trade secret. How many times we asked about George Springer?
Don't yell at me.
And they would never tell us.
Don't yell at me.
Well,
I'm not saying there's anything.
It's okay.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with fans having opinions. Well, do you expect Ross Atkins or John Schneider to say this is what George is doing mechanically wrong? First of all, most people eyes would glaze over. Or you'd get analytically. They could explain it in analytics.
Yeah, I think it's whenever you've said that for the last 3 weeks, and he's hitting $190.
Anyhow,
that's all. And now all of a sudden it's working.
Yeah, it was a. You know what? We were. Thank you, Louise, for that question because I didn't know if I didn't know. I was kind of going, I really want to answer that, but yeah, it provoked.
It's a fair question.
Oh, it is a fair question.
It's a fair question.
And. Getting back to it. Did he answer it sincerely? He answered it as sincerely.
I think he answered it.
He answered it as sincerely as I would answer it if I was a general manager of a team that was in last place in the AL East. I had a $235 million payroll.
Yeah.
Nothing was going well, and I got a couple of years left on my contract, and I've already fired a couple of managers. Yes, I think all that included, that was about as sincere as I would be. Jamie from Austria Lake. I probably mispronounced that in Nova Scotia. Austria Lake. And I don't know, whatever. In Nova Scotia.
Never mind whether Bichette and Vladdy sign here. I think the question is, why would free agents, whether hitters or pitchers, come to the Blue Jays given how
money.
They would see how the team is run and the broader issues within it. And I believe that Bo and Vlad will go elsewhere and will do very, very well under new teams, new regimes. Anyway, curious about what you have to say about that one. Thank you.
I will say this. One, if I was a free agent pitcher who was 32, 33 years old looking for one more,
boy.
I'm coming here.
Woo! He's making you say Kikuchi some money. Money.
Well, not only that, I would seriously consider that.
Absolutely.
Look, it's very simple. How do the free agents view the Blue Jays organization? It's a place they would love to play.
If you pay them.
If you paid them more and gave them more years than anybody
Absolutely.
else. Which is what they did with George Springer.
Kevin Gausman.
It's what they did with Kevin Gausman. It's what they did with Chris Bassett. That's the Russ Martin, Captain Canada. I love Russ Martin.
Me too. Extra year.
Russ Martin will tell you, I decided to sign with the Blue Jays. They gave me 5 years instead of 4 and more money. Nothing wrong with that. So yes, if you're willing to pay more for a player or pitcher and give them more term, they will consider signing here. Now, be interesting this offseason. If one of those two studs goes and there's nothing else here and you got a bullpen that's shredded, it would be a tough sell. It would be a tough sell. The other thing you always need to keep in mind with free agents is that the depth of the market is important. There are going to be guys this year who do not want anything to do with the Blue Jays, who are going to have a month before spring training go, geez, I don't have a job yet. Maybe that Blue Jays offer wasn't that bad after all. Mm-hmm. But yeah, to the caller's point, I think a lot of guys now, money is money for the most part. Mm-hmm. Everybody values. I mean, we have a dollar value attached to WAR, so people kind of know what good value is in the game. Then you get into what's the team going to be like? Is the team going to contend? What would really concern me here is if I'm a free agent and I'm one of the big money free agents, I'm going to be talking to Mark Shapiro. My agent's going to be talking to Mark Shapiro. He's got a year left in his contract.
Yep.
So I think that may be a factor. But on the other hand, if Mark Shapiro said, yeah, I'm only here for another year, but here's 4 years instead of 5 and $80 million a guy, okay, it's fine. That's fine. It comes down to money in term for guys.
Again, it may not be the information. It may be the people that are walking to the plate trying to execute the information. That may be what it is. Yeah. We have no idea, Jeff. Like I'm not behind closed doors.
Listen, it's a great question.
No idea. It is a great question. It is, but if they pay them, they will come.
Lindsay from Winnipeg. Lindsay. Do we have Lindsay?
Never mind whether Bichette and
My question for you is, if the Blue Jays are out of it, and not like they're not out of it now, but worse than now, and they sell players like, Kikuchi and others, does that make more room maybe for Joey Votto to come up and play out the year and possibly retire? I'm just curious if you'd want to see Joey Votto if everyone else is being sold off. All right, thanks, guys, and go Jays, go.
Nice. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, what are the options? Raul Martinez isn't here. He's been banged for PED. Spencer Horwitz is already. There's nobody else down there. Maybe Alan Rodon. Fine.
Yeah, I still don't understand the Joey Votto thing.
I don't understand it from his point of view.
He's made $1 bazillion. I just don't get it. I mean, only Joey knows his thing.
Yep.
I mean, if I were Joey, already probably a Hall of Famer, I've made $1 bazillion. Why are you going through all this?
I would be asking.
I don't understand.
I would be asking the Reds, when do you want me to show up for my retirement ceremony and stick my jersey up in the thing?
Go fishing every single day.
I don't get it.
Live somewhere warm.
But, I mean, if Joey Votto's healthy and come up here,
I guess.
Fine. But there's nobody else in the minors. I'll say this. It's not like he's going to be stealing playing time from somebody, I don't think.
No. I mean, if they're trading people off, Turner, you may trade him. If a veteran team wants a righty off the bench, that would be a space open for Joey.
Yeah, it's not like it's not going to have any impact on anybody's development. So, I mean this with all due respect to the Blue Jays and to Joey Votto. I don't care. Like, I'd like to see him up here. If he decides that he doesn't want to come up here because he doesn't feel that that he can do what he wants to do and wants to call it quits, that's fine. I would like to see it just because I think it'd be kind of a fun, cool story to have the guy play in his hometown. But, is it going to change anybody's opinion of Joey Votto? Either you think he's a Hall of Famer or you don't think he's a Hall of Famer. Joey Votto's a Red to me. He's always going to be a Red to me. He could come up and play for the Blue Jays and hit 30 home runs in 5 games. He's always going to be a Cincinnati Red. So, I just, if he's here, great. If he isn't, Godspeed, Joey Votto. You've had a hell of a career. And I'll look forward to seeing you in Cooperstown. I mean, that's where I am with Joey Votto. Good questions.
They are very good.
I was talking a little bit.
Yeah, you got you fired up.
Yeah, little.
I was upset.
A little upset.
You were upset?
We've got Jays tickets to give away. Derek, should I do it now or on the other side of the break? Your call.
Do it now.
Do it now?
Do it.
Do it. We got to vote. All those in favor of Jeff Blair giving away Jays tickets right now, say aye.
Do it.
Aye.
Do it.
Do it.
All right. We've been giving you the chance to win Blue Jays tickets all season long here in Blair and Barker. All you have to do is text the correct answer.
Get it right.
To our daily baseball trivia question to 590-590. Yesterday's question and answer was, this position player spent a brief time with the Astros in 2012 and has played for every single team in the AL East. Now, they also added a line, his career highlight was with the Red Sox. Oh, they did. Okay, so there was another line that I cut out, but his career highlight was with the Red Sox. The answer was Steve Pearce, who won World Series MVP with the Red Sox, traded by Kevin Barker's Blue Jays for Santiago Espinal. Today's question is to win tickets to see the Jays and Astros at the Rogers Center on Thursday, July 4th. 4th of July. This player who shares his name with a longtime NBA guard played for both the Blue Jays and Astros in 2019. And according to a Blue Jays source, quote, had an elite run tool. Just telling you what the quote was. Again, this player who shares his name with a longtime NBA guard played for both the Blue Jays and Astros in 2019 and had, quote, an elite run tool.
It's my favorite Jay of all time.
It would be. Text the answer to 590 for your shot to win.
He
Two
is.
rules at
Hands
sportsnet.ca
I never will forget
590.
Jeff.
Bryan Hoch
Lamb-based
is
in
the
him.
Yankees reporter with MLB.com. He is in town to watch the Yankees and Blue Jays continue their 4-game series. He'll join us next. It's Blair and Barker on Sportsnet 590, The Fan and Sportsnet. All right, I don't know where this is going to go, but Barker and I just consumed a handful of gummy.
Had like 3.
Yeah, we're just kidding. Not those gummies, just regular gummies. Although, we'll just have to see how the show goes. Maybe. Maybe I'm lying. 7:07 is the first pitch tonight. Oh, the room's spinning. 7:07 is the first pitch tonight on Sportsnet 590, The Fan and Sportsnet. Jays and Yankees playing the second game of a 4-game series at the Rogers Center. Blair and Barker will be along following the game.
Winning edition?
With a winning edition of Blue Jays Talk. We didn't say that last night, and they won. Did we?
I think I said it.
Yeah, anyhow. It's quite often when we say a winning edition, it means they lose, of course. But I feel tonight I've got a positive.
Yeah, I don't think you say he's going to have 3 bad starts in a row. So I'm with you. I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah, and of course, the other thing with Yusei, as we always talk about, we've been talking about a fair amount this year. I would think, given Yusei Kikuchi's level of success or record of success against the Yankees, if you're a team in the American League that thinks you might be facing the Yankees in the playoffs, you may want to be. You may want to be watching this game. Well, I mean, pick a team, any team.
Twins, Astros.
You may want to be watching. I don't know what to make of the Yankees. Well, you know what? And we're going to bring in somebody who covers the Yankees on a daily basis. Bryan Hoch of MLB.com joins us. Bryan, thanks for taking time to talk to us today. This is very strange. I will admit that I kind of watched the Yankees from a distance. They've been in first place, and then I started watching them a little closer during the Subway Series, and I started asking myself, is this team really that good? I know. Look, they've got Judge and Soto. Obviously, they've got some good players, but
they're flawed.
Yeah, they're flawed, aren't they? That's probably the best way to put it. They're a flawed team, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you what. Yeah, if you look at the standings in the American League East right now, you say, wow, they got a pretty good record. The first team to 50 victories. I think they got 52 right now. But, yeah, if you've watched in the last 2 weeks here, that is a completely different team, and I think they're 3-9 in the last 12. I mean, this team has is really hit a June swoon, a rough patch here, and part of it has been losing a couple of key veterans. They've got Giancarlo Stanton and Anthony Rizzo now on the injured list, and they're going to be out a while. But really, it's been that this team has stopped pitching, and that was really how they built that early advantage there. The starting rotation was better than expected, and we all thought that was going to be the issue, not having Gerrit Cole. And strangely enough, it's since Cole came back, the rotation has kind of hit the skids here. It's just coincidental, I'm sure. But the rotation, the bullpen were all great the first 2 months of the season, and now they've come back down to earth a little bit. So there is definitely a question of which team was the real thing. And to me, it reminds me a lot of what we saw 2 years ago when the Yankees looked like they were going to win the World Series in the first half, and then the whole second half of the year was basically tracking Aaron Judge and his chase for 62 home runs, and kind of feels that way once again.
How do you think they use Cole? Is it every 5 days? Are they going to adjust that? Are they going to give him a break? They're going to give him skip a start? I mean, he's talking about max effort every pitch. I don't think that's him, right? It's free and easy, 97, 98. It's not max effort, making sure the velocity's there, the break on the secondary stuff will be there. What are you seeing and what are you hearing around Cole?
Yeah, exactly. He shouldn't have to throw max effort, and he never has at this point in his career, which tells you he's still kind of in spring training mode right now. And so this is all building up. And really, in an ideal world, you would have given him those 2 starts at the minor league level, and he would have kept building up. I think he threw 62 and then 70-something against the Mets. So he's probably next time out, he'll be at 80 pitches or thereabouts. But yeah, in a perfect world, he wouldn't have gotten hurt in spring training, and then he would have had built up to 95, 100 for opening day. But this is where they're at, and they figured, if they need somebody to give them 4 innings, then his 4 innings were going to be better than anything they could have found elsewhere in the organization. So I think you have to judge the results with a grain of salt there and realize that he's not Gerrit Cole, the reigning Cy Young Award winner right now. He's Gerrit Cole in spring training mode, and you'll take what you can get out of him. Clearly, the first time out, it was pretty good. It was good enough. And against the Mets, it was just non-competitive. So I am curious to see what adjustments he makes next time out and how he bounces back from that one.
Brian, I'm sure if they get the rotation taken care of, sort of controlling the running game when they are in the playoffs won't be such a big deal. But I would think the teams that they might have to face in the Twins, the Guardians, the Astros, the Orioles, like they know that, Trevino's behind the plate, we're going to do a bunch of running. Do you think that's even a thought for the big bad Yankees? Like, I don't even know if they're sitting around Brian Cashman's going, I got all this to worry about, and also we got to worry about controlling the running game.
Has to be. I mean, they got straight out embarrassed and exposed that night at Fenway Park. The Red Sox were running wild. They stole 9 bases, and I know that's part of Boston's DNA right now. They are a younger, more athletic team, but they got exposed. And I think that part of it was that Marcus Stroman had a slow time to home plate that night, but they weren't all on the pitcher. And a lot of them were on Trevino, not even being able to get off a throw. I think he only made throws on 2 or 3 of them out of the 9 stolen bases that night. And so, there have been whispers around here that Trevino's dealing with sore shoulder and is playing through it. And he and Aaron Boone have both said that he's healthy, he's fine, he's out there. But, I watched the Mets steal twice on Trevino. There was another game on the homestand where he gave up a bunch of stolen bases. I think 16 out of the last 17 have been successful against him. So if I was an opposing team, like the Blue Jays, like any other team here, I got a guy on first base. The green light is on. And so make him prove that he can throw you out, because recently he has not been doing that.
Yep. Now, I know this guy's numbers against the Jays are really good, but, Brian, I would have to think that Gleyber Torres is one of the most frustrating Yankees for one of the most frustrating players Aaron Boone's had since he's been there. What is Gleyber Torres? And we know he didn't run out that ground ball. I mean, that happens with guys every now and then, but it wasn't a particularly good look given everything that's going on with that team. How frustrating has he been for the Yankees?
Yeah, frustrating is exactly the word I was going to use there, because, you look back a few years and you penciled this guy in for 30-something home runs, 100 RBIs. You figure he's going to be an all-around excellent second baseman. He's really a piece you could build around. And here he is in a contract year, no less, where he really is playing for his next deal. And he is flopping hard here. And I think that not running out the ball in the 8th inning against the Mets. Obviously, there's a big spotlight. It's a Subway Series game. It's happening in a game where the Yankees are playing awful. Clearly, that raised some eyebrows and drew attention. But this goes back a few weeks now, where he has been scuffling offensively, where he's had a few plays defensively that have really been glaring errors. There was one where there was a shallow pop-up in right center field, and he kind of got under it nonchalant and tried to do a basket catch, and it fell out of his glove. And when you can't do those things, especially when you're having a tough year. And so, one pop-up or one missed ground ball here and there is not going to make or break your season, but it's the whole cumulative thing here where offensively, defensively, he has just not been able to put it together this year, and it's coming at the worst time for him. And it's also coming at a bad time for the Yankees, because they really do need him. As I mentioned, Stanton's out, and he, for all his faults, is a threatening right-handed force in the batter's box. You can hit the ball out of the yard at any time. And this team, as they go up against UC tonight, they have struggled against left-handed pitching. They need Gleyber Torres to be able to pick it up and be something of a presence here, but it has definitely been a grind for him.
Bryan, listening to you talk, it sounds like they may need, if you're Brian Cashman at the trade deadline, to go out and get a starting pitcher and an offensive player. Am I onto something, or is it one or the other? It's not both.
Well, you might have to do a little bit more than that, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
really.
that's a tall order there. I think that they're more likely to focus on the bullpen than the rotation because they do have Cole coming back here. They do think that Heel can figure it out and continue to be what they need from him. At some point, they're going to have Clark Schmidt coming back, too. So the rotation could get some help from within, but their bullpen has not had a lot of swing and miss in it. And I think that if you look over this stretch here where they really have scuffled, they've been trying to plug in guys. They've been waiver claims. They've been signing guys. They've been calling up people from the minors, just trying to mix and match this bullpen. And it's gotten to the point here where I almost don't recognize 3 or 4 of the guys in the bullpen of the team I cover. So that's how much turnover there's been here in the last week or so. So I think that that's definitely an area where the Yankees are going to look to try and improve. And as I mentioned, corner infield. I don't think we've even mentioned DJ LeMahieu here. He does not have an extra base hit this season since coming off the injured list. So you're not getting a whole lot of pop from him there. And so you're trying to figure out with, you've got Ben Rice, the rookie at first base. They just pulled J.D. Davis from the Athletics, who are one of the worst teams in the majors, and they got him starting in the cleanup spot tonight. So, this is a team here where, for as good as the standings look, and you say, all right, they should still be a playoff team, there are some real problems and real issues here that need to get solved pretty quickly.
Bryan, I know in your recent article on MLB.com, I hadn't thought of this, and you just referred to the bullpen. Now, I'm looking at Luis Heel, and the last 2 starts have been rough, but I'd completely forgotten about this. You point out, though, we're talking about a guy with a career high of 108 2/3 innings pitched. He's on pace to throw roughly 160 innings if he stays in the rotation. And as you point out, do you think there's a chance that maybe in the second half he gets moved into the bullpen? And could that at least alleviate some of the issue with the lack of swing and miss stuff?
Absolutely. And if you put that arm down in the bullpen, that is a strikeout arm. So I think that is definitely a way they can go here. And I think that's probably the smart move. I know that Heel wants to stay in the rotation. He prefers to be a starting pitcher, but at some point the organization is going to have to step in and say, hey, you threw literally 4 innings last year, and we think you might be fatiguing here. So we want to see more of you in a 1 or 2 inning spurt rather than trying to have you go deep into games. And I think that probably is the way they're going to go here. So as you continue to build up Gerrit Cole, you can start to count on him for 5 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings. And then hopefully he's the ace that you had last year, and he can kind of just pick up where he left off at the end of last season. But so maybe it's a situation where you have these 2 ships passing in the night, where you have Gerrit Cole building up and you have Luis Heel kind of scaling back, and he becomes that dominant reliever that they really do need.
Bryan, I want to ask you if the Judge 30 homers is surprising, but I'm just not sure that's a legitimate question. But I do wonder if having Soto coming in, being the left-handed hitter that he is, it's sort of competition, right? I see what you're doing, and I'm going to double that, and I'm going to have 30 homers in the first 2.5 months of the season. Can you tell if there's a little bit of competition back and forth between those two?
I tell you what, yeah, seeing them hit back-to-back, there is kind of an effect where they feed off each other, and I think that has definitely helped Judge in a lot of ways, being able to see Soto and work the count. He's such a patient hitter. You get to see those extra pitches when Soto's up there. So, but really with Judge, it's just been remarkable because of how slow of a start he got off to. I mean, you looked up on, I think it was April 27 or something like that. The Yankees were in Baltimore, and he was hitting under 200. And I remember him standing at his locker there at Camden Yards, and he said, I'm going to make some adjustments, and I'm going to figure it out. And boy, it was right about then that he just went on a tear. And so he has been remarkable. He just got voted into the All-Star game yesterday, and obviously well-deserved there. And, he's actually on that same pace that he had in 2022, which is amazing because when he puts it all together, and obviously his season was interrupted last year because of a freak injury where he ran into a wall in Los Angeles, but this is a continuation of right where he was in 2022, where I know you guys remember this is where Judge hit 61 back at the end of that season off Tim Mesa. So he's got some history here, and he started writing a new story very early this year.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Brian, really good of you to do this, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
You got it, guys. Take care. Enjoy the game.
Absolutely. Brian Hoch, MLB.com. Interesting. We were talking about Juan Soto a little bit. I don't know if you had a chance to see last night, but the back and forth between Soto and Barrios was really kind of cool. Soto swung and missed at a couple of Barrios pitches, and he looked out at Barrios and just nodded. It was actually fun watching them go at it.
Let's be honest. If you're an opposing player against Soto, you could see how you wouldn't like him. Just the act that he presents at the plate. I
don't know. I got the impression Barrios
because those two know each other.
Okay.
But I'm saying, like, when he turns around to an umpire and basically you don't know he's saying this, but you can basically understand that he's saying, if I'm taking it, it's a ball. How dare you call a strike? Like, you can just tell it's like
quite often right, to be honest.
It's like the
I mean, I love Juan Soto.
You do?
I love Juan Soto. I would take, obviously, Captain Obvious here. I would take, I mean, I'm not going to say it, but if I was a team that was running a sizable payroll next year, I would be all over him. I would be all over Juan Soto because I just think the stuff that he brings, and again, and we got to remember this, man. He's still young.
Yeah, I think
he's just coming into the prime.
It takes two to tango, right? I mean, the Yankees are telling you that Judge is not enough. That's why they had to go out and get Soto, right? The lefty righty. You need to, have the at-bats that he's having so you're on base a little bit more for that guy coming up. Can't pitch around that guy to get to this guy.
One thing I did want
sort of feeds off of each other. I think
one thing I did want to ask you about, though, have you watched him in right field?
Yeah, he's
closely?
He's
not very good.
Yeah, he's sometimes, like, a lot of the times it's, catch the ball right at you. He's an offensive player first.
I agreed.
Right?
But it is remarkable when you I find myself when I watch him, it's never a good sign when you come away thinking, I wonder if he could have caught that. Like, I wonder if someone else could have caught that.
Yeah, it's like, would you give a guy $500 million just to hit?
I mean,
you gave Ohtani that kind of money because he's doing both. Would he have gotten that much money just as a hitter? I mean, we'll never know the answer to that, but I mean,
well, I know it. I know.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying,
right?
I know what you're saying.
I want him to be everything. I mean, some of the times he's not the best baseball IQ base runner. Like, there's a lot of things of his game that doesn't live up to what he does offensively, right? So that's the thing: is he worth the thing that super agent's going to be asking for? Because and it's only a certain couple of cities that he's going to be playing in.
Yeah, I got to say this about one of the things about Juan Soto, though, is
and he needs help.
Even in this,
that's not
especially now, given the way offense in this game, there are fewer and fewer players. We used to talk about a guy would come up to the plate and go, "Man, I expect something to happen here."
Absolutely.
There are fewer and fewer of those guys.
in
the game right now.
Yeah,
he's one of them.
Yeah.
And the guy, as you call him, the big donkey behind him is another one. But seriously, it's remarkable how many guys who are really good hitters.
Mm-hmm.
I used to get that feeling all the time. Yeah, and not even. I mean, I'm going to pick a guy. Eric Davis would come up, and I'd go, something's going to happen here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not talking guys who were considered one of the. I'm not talking Bonds. I'm not talking Ricky Henderson, guys who were first ballot Hall of Famers. I'm just talking guys who were really good hitters. Eric Davis would come up, you'd go, okay, something's going to happen here.
Yeah.
And
Soto and Vladdy'd look good next year for the Blue Jays, wouldn't they? Righty, lefty. Vladdy doesn't have to do everything. You got that attitude standing around you all the time.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I
mean, George Springer's sort of at the end of it, right?
That's what I'm getting at.
He can play a little right. He can play a little left. He can DH a bunch.
Soto would be.
I mean, again, it's about what you'd want to pay and how close you think you are to really legitimately making a run at this thing. You trade some pieces this year. You back up the Brinks truck to get that dude.
He's the guy.
No.
Look at this.
Well, I don't even know if he'd want to come here or not.
No, but I'm saying, I'm not talking about Toronto, but I'm saying This is a guy, if you give this guy a 7-year deal,
Yeah.
he's going to be 32 at the end of the year. I mean, people forget how obscenely young this guy is.
Yeah, I think it's performance-driven, right? It's about what can he give you now, stuck in between a bunch of other guys. And, yeah, it's just, again, it's making it hard to pitch to your best hitter. The Yankees' best hitter is the donkey. But how do you get him pitches when it matters the most? You stick that dude around him who's on base and can hit lefties. And, it's sort of the same thing with the Blue Jays is, right? It's the two-headed monster with the shortstop and the first baseman. Now, it hasn't played out that way, but I think Ross, to his point in the offseason and in spring training, and anybody that wanted to listen to him talk, that was his point was you need them two dudes carrying it. And then hopefully we get the back of the baseball card for Springer and Varsho. And, where's Kirk been? I mean, that biggest disappointment offensively for the Blue Jays in 2024 is
Bo.
I mean, I think it's a tie for me.
Because I wasn't expecting
I think
jack squat from Alejandro Kirk.
I think it's well.
I wasn't.
I mean, you could throw all three of those names in there: Bo, Kirk, and Springer.
I wasn't expecting anything from Springer. Like I said, I was writing and I was saying after last year,
he's under the Mendoza line.
Dude had as healthiest. Dude was as healthy as he's ever been.
You didn't think 200. Come on.
He was as healthy as he has ever been last year, and his numbers. That's not a good sign. So no, and to me, Alejandro Kirk is your backup catcher. Maybe.
He's on the team next year?
Someone's got to catch it. If they're not going to give Danny Jansen money, there's nobody in the minors.
Well, he ain't catching every day, so you can't have that.
Well,
so you got to go out and get you an everyday guy.
Add another catcher.
Well, there you go. So he's on the team next year.
Do you know how many good everyday catchers get moved in an off season?
It's rare. Well, why would you trade a good catcher?
I mean, I hate to say it, but just go through the roster and look at dudes who are going to be free agent. I mean, there's going to be a whole hell of a lot of Yan Gomes happening.
They got a lot to do in the offseason. Holy moly.
They do. And
rip that Band-Aid off, do it.
Well,
just depends on who do you want doing it. That's the thing.
Yeah. The catching situation is
they need a whole new bullpen. They're going to need a couple more starters. They're going to need a thumper in the middle of the order. They're probably going to need a new right fielder. They're going to need another catcher. Would you like to have that job, Jeff?
I mean, I would.
You would? You could do it?
No, but you said, would I like to do it? Would you like to have the job?
You would? It'd be tough.
It would not be my first.
It would be tough. It'd be like being John Schneider.
Well,
holy moly.
Yeah.
Man alive. Like he can never do anything right.
Maybe you got to get started on it this year then, if you're going to be looking at that. But
like
it is true.
You could get Bruce Bochy this lineup and it'd look the same.
Yeah, you have a lengthy shopping list for next year. It's
a big one. Like there ain't no more excuses of leaning on core. Come on now.
Well,
yeah, maybe half the core may not be here.
I was going to say, the simple fact of the matter is you may not have a core.
Well, both of them aren't going.
Next year.
Both of them aren't going.
No, one of the two will be.
Yeah, probably. I'd say
Vlad.
One of them I would think has to go. That's just me.
Yep. I didn't necessarily feel that way, but
I think we're pushing that boat away from the dock, buddy. This time.
7:07 is the first pitch at the Rogers Center tonight. Blair and Barker will
winning
be winning edition of Blue Jays Talk following the game. And Monday is Canada Day. Happy Canada Day. And we will be on following the game with Blue Jays Talk right here in the TV and the radio as well. So enjoy your long weekend. Stay safe. Travel well. We'll talk on Monday.